past couple of days, I've been talking a lot about how credit card companies basically control our entertainment now. They can demand platforms like Nintendo and Steam remove certain content from their eShops, and that is just really unfortunate to hear. We truly are living in a terrible, terrible timeline. But to top all of that off, now we have this radical feminist organization coming out and claiming that this is a major win for them now because credit card companies are, controlling us. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, feminists in the video game and just entertainment spaces in general always get absolutely wrecked. They are the most miserable people on earth, and they truly do not care about equality. They care about denigrating men and denigrating just certain individuals that they personally disagree with. These people are cultural Marxists, plain and simple. And now, of course, they are claiming this is a major win for them. Now, the primary feminist organization behind all of this is Collective Shout. Now, if you don't know who Collective Shout is, boy, have they been around for a long time. Going back to Gamergate 1, they were trying to get video games censored and banned. This was from 2014, so right around the start of it. Over 40,000 signed petition calling on Target to withdraw GTA 5 for extreme violence against women. I love how it's always poor women, when of course in Grand Theft Auto you can do terrible things to all different sorts of people. It's not just women, but of course they need to make it a big deal because that's the only way that they have a shred of relevancy in this world. And to these people, right, it's all about power and control for them. It's not actually about making the world a better place. It's about how can we profit off of people? How can we figure out a way to use gender to our advantage, whether that's financially or politically. And I, as a woman, absolutely hate being used as a pawn in another person's game. And that's exactly what you are if you end up supporting something like this. And they're using, my gender as a way to say gamers and are toxic and video games are terrible, which of course is absolutely absurd. So they're basically like PETA, only for feminists. They claim that they stand for something and then they do not actually stand for that something. And then they just try to leech on any industry they can in order to try to make a profit. Like PETA's gone after Hollywood many times for using like horses and tigers and animals, and then they go after video games like Pokemon because how dare you capture creatures. But now they are claiming victory in terms of the new Steam rules. Now, I have talked about this in a couple of other videos. They will be linked down below, but if you do not know, I'll sum it up for you really, really quickly. Steam's rules have been updated to prohibit content that violates rules set forth by payment processors and banks. Nintendo did something very similar where they're using wording like overly sexual content. Basically, if a payment processor complains about a piece of content, they have written it so now they can just remove it whenever they feel like it for whatever reason they really want to give you, when at the end of the day, of course, payment processors and banks should not be able to control where we spend our money or what we spend our money on. As long as something is properly rated, it should be allowed on a platform like this. Listen, I'm not interested in like rape simulators. I'm not interested in all these different sex sims that they're removing, but ultimately it's mature content that is rated properly, and it's also for an adult audience. And at the end of the day, we are just talking about pixels on a screen, right? Again, I'm not personally going to consume it, but censorship is a very slippery slope. If you give companies an inch, they will take a mile. And over the past couple of years, Steam and Nintendo and even Sony have been very censorship heavy. They have removed tons of content off of their platforms or banned it straight up, and it didn't even get a full release. unfairly, which is insane because now it's going to be even worse than it already was. And I have hundreds of videos on my channel talking about censorship within the video game industry. But of course, they updated it to say content that may violate the rules and standards. May, guys, not that certainly does, may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet providers, in particular, certain kinds of adult only content. Again, very, very slippery slope. They even are going to be removing games that have terms like slavery in them. So now, are we going to be banning things like Final Fantasy 16? Maybe not that, because it makes them too much freaking money, but they could in the future. Though now Collective Shout, the feminist organization that has been around since Gamergate 1, is saying a major win. New policy on Steam and rape plus incest games are being removed. Yes, guys, you're not allowed to read Game of Thrones anymore. You're not allowed to watch that show anymore because it's got sensitive content in it. Since we launched our campaign calling on payment processors to stop facilitating payments for this kind of content on Steam earlier this week, the gaming platform has added a new rule to their policies and has removed hundreds of these games. I wonder if they caught wind of this happening, and so they started this campaign just so it seemed like they were getting a major win, because I personally do not believe that this is because of this organization, given we've seen this happening for years at this point in Japan. It's just happening everywhere now. I mean, I talked about this, but credit card companies were continuing what appears to be a coordinated effort to censor Japanese artists. The most recent targets have been Ken Akamatsu's Manga Library Z, a website which simply hosted old and out-of-print manga as a method for archival and ad revenue sharing with artists, was being shut down entirely because their payment processors pulled out. They only had BitCash left and it just wasn't financially viable. So this has been happening for a long time. So I don't really think that these feminists are getting a big win. I think they just caught wind that this was going to happen. I don't know how. Maybe somebody had told them. But regardless, they're claiming this as a major victory. The new rule states, of course, content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors can be removed. I had just read that. We counted almost 500 games tagged with rape and incest on Monday, and at our last count, there are 82 left. We want them all gone. Yes, guys, we want to control the content that you consume because we are trying to protect you, and we're trying to protect women. That's always the excuses. They're trying to protect someone. It's like with Stop Killing Games. These video game companies are saying, oh, well, if we actually allow people to create their own private servers, then bad content could appear in them. And ooh, that would be bad for players. So we're trying to protect you. We're adults. Okay, this is fictional characters doing fictional things. It's not supposed to depict a real person like doing a real thing to a real individual. It's not supposed to be a real living person. That's not the case. Predictably, misogynistic gamers have come out in full force in defense of their access to rape games, sending our teams abuse, threats, porn, and CSAM, using and distributing photos of our faces and encouraging us to K ourselves. I have not seen any of that, but gamers are simply criticizing your stance, your claiming of a victory, and your organization in general. We're not misogynistic for calling out the fact that you are okay with censorship when you can profit off of it. I, as a woman, am sitting here saying censorship is bad. I guess I would fall under this misogynistic category, but I mean, it's a complete mask-off moment for these people. These feminists are really just cultural Marxists. Culture is these people's battlegrounds. They see Western culture, especially things like family, religion, and traditional gender roles, as obstacles to creating their version of a more equal society. And of course, it doesn't actually mean equal. That's just what they claim. So rather than pushing, workers to revolt, the plan was to slowly reshape society society through institutions like schools, media, and pop culture. Modern feminism, especially second wave and third wave feminism, isn't just about equal rights. It's an ideological tool to deconstruct the traditional family structure, challenge gender roles, and promote a victim-based, like, identity politics society, almost, because that's all these people do, is claim that they are victims in some way, shape, or form. Feminism took the Marxist, like, oppressor versus oppressed framework and applied it to men versus women, painting women as historically oppressed and men as privileged oppressors. We've, unfortunately had to deal with this for a long time in the video game industry, even before Gamergate 1. But Gamergate 1 is truly where we started seeing a lot of change in the video game industry. There have always been feminists who have been claiming that video games are bad and violence is bad, the gore is bad, the sexual objectification is bad, even going back to the days of the ESRB formation. But it's just gotten worse with social media and with organizations popping up like this and feeling like they are going to be listened to by these companies. So instead of class warfare, it's just gender warfare, and it's of course the same playbook, just with different players. And I don't expect anything better of these people. Of course, they're going to call for censorship. Of course, they're going to sit here and say that that's actually a good thing, when really that's just disgusting. So they are now celebrating their success in getting adult games removed from Steam. Was this really a major win for them? I mean, yes. Ultimately, it is a win because they are getting what they want. I just have a sneaking suspicion that they found this information out and then started this campaign that only lasted a couple of days. And now, of course, they're claiming victory for it. Either way, it's not good. This is an organization that, of course, in the past has even called for games like Detroit Becoming Human to be banned and to not be sold in certain places like Australia, which, of course, is absurd. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.